Okay, hello everyone, good afternoon, and welcome to the EU Data Science Lab meeting. Today we are delighted to host Dr. Jefersson dos Santos from the University of Sheffield, lecturer in computer vision and computer science. His talk, The Role of AI and Remote Sensing for Agricultural and Environmental Monitoring in the Tropics, Challenges and Opportunities. He will explore how AI and Earth observation can support agriculture, biodiversity, and environmental monitoring in tropical regions, drawing on case studies from Brazil, Ghana, and the Amazon. So please join me in welcoming Jefferson.
Uh, Thank you very much, Vahid. So I will share my screen, just a minute.
Yes, I stop sharing.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, please. Can
Okay.
proceed now.
All right. So yeah, thank you very much, Vahid, for this new opportunity to talk. We have tried some weeks ago, I believe more than 1 month ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So thank you very much. It's a pleasure to talk to people in Stirling. So I've been in Stirling for some at least 1 year, I believe. And yeah, so I don't know if you recognize, but this is a painting from Stirling here. It's quite small, but yeah. Um, yeah, so it's a very nice place, and I'm happy to share some of my view about research in this intersection between artificial intelligence, Earth observation, and so most of my presentation will be focused on more research aspects. So I will not get into details about any method, but the idea is to bring here some reflection about the whole of artificial intelligence, especially in regarding tropical environment and why it matters. And in connection with this, I will show some of my current research topics and some challenges I believe that would be maybe interesting for us to collaborate, and also for PhD students, master students that are looking for some interesting topics in the frontier between artificial intelligence, remote sensing, and the applications of this for tropical monitoring. So I will give a brief introduction and talk a little bit about my projects and ongoing research in these topics. And I will conclude with some a summary of some ideas um, for next steps. So yeah, we've seen from a couple of years, 20 years, a huge evolution in imaging technologies. So in this slide, I try to organize this between global and local because I think it helps to connect better with the development of artificial intelligence as well, because we've seen the first area impacted by artificial intelligence recent development was computer vision. So it was more connected to local monitoring and using cameras, especially natural images, RGB images with cameras. Or so everybody now has a camera in your pocket. So it's quite easy to collect information with this and to share this through the internet. That has also evolved a lot in the last few years, last decades, I would say. And but we have more specialized sensors with very good data now available, and we have been impacted for both satellite-borne sensors, but also we have now access to a lot of possibilities with drones and their cameras. So it expanded a lot the capabilities we have to explore the potential of artificial intelligence in monitoring environment or agriculture. So now we have a rich data in high resolution, in any kind of resolution you may want. So spatial resolution, spectral, radiometric, temporal. So It depends a lot the application you are dealing with. So we will have access to some different rich data. And speaking more about artificial intelligence, so I've been lucky during my career to see this the flourish of artificial intelligence and the impact in remote sensing. In my PhD, I've been developing machine learning algorithms, more traditional machine learning algorithms. But I was already working with remote sensing, so I had experience it applying and developing new algorithms based on shallow machine learning, so the classical one, in which we follow this kind of pipeline. So this is for image classification. So you receive an image as input, and you'd like to receive a class as output. And the pipeline was composed basically by some feature extraction algorithm and some engineering algorithm. So something related to texture, some spectral or color combination. And after that, after the feature extraction step, we usually applied some kind of machine learning technique. SVMs was one of the state-of-the-art methods at that stage, and so you can obtain a kind of class for your problem. And since around 2015, we moved to something different with the impact of especially convolutional neural networks. So now we have this data-driven approach. So you receive the data and you learn both the feature representation and the decision function in the same block, and learning all of this together. So given an image, you also receive the class in a supervised classification process, but now you have a single block with artificial neural network architecture inside this. So yeah, so we have seen the impact of this because previously during the initial development of machine learning for remote sensing, we had a kind of big challenge because the methods developed for other applications using natural images in computer vision, for example, they were not directly applicable for remote sensing because of the nature of the data. So you have limitation because the state of the art in computer vision were mainly developed for RGB, and for remote sensing we have all of this rich data. So it was tricky. And now with deep learning from the data, we have a different perspective. And we have noticed this, the impact of this change earlier. And so this is just a paper we have published comparing very basic deep learning strategies. For example, AlexNet, VGG, it was the earliest convolutional neural networks, and we compared with the state of the art of shallow methods with feature extraction algorithms at that time, and the impact was huge. So just like in other computer vision applications, it was pretty clear that now we have something different to process remote sensing, and deep learning changed all the game in this case. Yeah. So my first question is everything solved since we have deep learning now, and so most of application remote sensing are them solved? So here I'm focusing more in the three main applications we may have, but it's regarding image classification. We have semantic segmentation and detection or localization. So, and the answer for this is yes, in somehow, especially in more generic approaches. So a lot has been solved. So you may see some of you probably you have tested already some deep learning strategies, YOLO or a MASCAR CNN or a simple AlexNet, and you have seen a huge, um, uh, a very nice accuracy in benchmarks. So so the answer is yes to somehow, but we have a lot of other problems to solve. especially when we talk about translational research. So there is a paradox in modern artificial intelligence that is, okay, we have a high capability. So in benchmarks, if you test the algorithms, they will work very well. So for some applications, you can reach 99% of accuracy. So that's great, yeah. But when we move to some some real world application, I have, for example, my some colleagues here, Thiago, for example, it's kind of depressing when you move to the um, real application, because during the deployment you face a lot of problems with data scarcity, sensor noise, and infrastructure gap. So it makes things much more challenging to solve real problems in especially in remote sensing and applications in the tropics. That will be the focus of my presentation here. So in this sense, I listed a couple of challenges I see right now. Of course, it does not cover all the challenges possible, but some of them are challenges that I'm very interested. So first of is the black box interpretability. So I see this is very important for environmental and agriculture accessibility of implementations of, yeah, that's all right. That's clear, another challenge, yeah. So interpretability. So for example, now we have transformers, very complex models. So they are very difficult um, to connect with some theories you have in even in remote sensing for physical properties. So there is a lot of room for improvements in this sense. So this is an open research area. The second would be small data paradox in that this is the lack of um, annotated data to train the models, and this is very necessary for deep learning. Although we have seen some development based on self-supervised learning, we still have a lot of challenges to extract the better information from the data we have and connect this, especially when we depend of expert users, for example, botanicals or people that has the knowledge to analyze and to annotate the data for training the models. A very important aspect I see it's the high computational and environmental costs. So that's a bit contradictory using a deep learning, a huge data center, trained on huge data centers that spend a lot of energy to train, and apply this to monitor environmental. So I think, and I have seen a couple of works that try to create some kind of green algorithms so that optimize the training process to avoid using too much computational resources. So I think that's very important. And also now the biggest models we have, especially the big huge foundation models, uh, universities and small NGOs or countries, we don't have infrastructure to train these models. So we depend on the big companies to do that for us, and this is not sustainable for real world applications, because their interests may vary. So the objectives may be different. So we need some more effort to democratize the access to these new technologies, and also the development of new tools. The fourth is a data interoperability. So it is still very unclear how should we design a data set, how should we organize even the experimental design involving artificial intelligence in remote sensing. And so there is a lack on standards and pipelines that covers most of the applications we have. So in this sense, also artificial intelligence may help, because if you work with different groups, so you have heterogeneous data. and so we need to somehow um, develop new tools to help to integrate the data. And a last challenge I see, but I don't know how to solve that. Maybe with some, we need to change some, to develop some policies also, public policies, is regarding the privacy and satellite surveillance. So um, I've seen a lot of discussion about avoiding using cameras even on board of satellites because of the privacy. So it's maybe a limited um, a boundary for us that we need to overcome to keep working with especially high spatial resolution data. So yeah, this is something to reflect. Yeah, in this sense, I've been working with some other researchers towards this concept here, which is called data-centric AI, which is a kind of a broad concept that discuss more on the development of tools, not only for improving the models, but also in the whole pipeline since the data acquisition, uh, passing through all of these steps, data creation, of course, model training is important, but also evaluation, deployment, and also how to solve the problem. So this is the machine learning cycle, and the literature so far has been focusing most more on improving the model training aspects, but we have seen very few um, effort in developing tools based on artificial intelligence for helping other parts of this pipeline. So this paper, we organize the literature, we define some, we connect with the relevant literature on this. So there is specific tools for each of these steps, but we noticed that there is a lot of room for improvement, and I think we have an opportunity here with this proposing methods that focus on improving the quality of the data and also improving the analysis of the outcomes obtained with artificial intelligence models. Yeah. Okay, so now let's focus more on the tropical aspects because I'm very interested on this, and I think it's very challenging to work with. I'm from computer science also, just like some of you, and it's very difficult to work in applications involving tropical regions because we are in the UK and we need always we are asked to motivate when we, especially when we apply for grants. So why does it important for the UK? So this is why I think it's important to discuss a little bit about that. So I'm very, as I mentioned, I'm very interested in translational research in AI. So what does it mean? It means that we cannot be we cannot be closed in our labs working like before, and we need to interact more with domain experts because um, deploying the methods, it's an important step to identify the challenges and towards to solve some real world problems. So in general, in interdisciplinary research, you have AI, you have domain experts, and you need to interact with the experts to understand the field constraints. So it's much more than acquiring high accuracy in benchmarks. So we need to understand also some details about the application. Um, so and why the tropics matter. So in my case, I'm very interested in this because I see a lot of interesting research on that. So sorry, I have hidden some slides. I will just by mistake. Okay. So first of all, there is a huge importance in the tropics concerning global food security. So a huge part of the world's staple crops comes from the tropics. Some specific food commodities comes and are produced only on the tropic regions. Biodiversity is very important, so there is a lot of reasons for us to take care of tropical regions. So it contains most of Earth's species, functional diversity and ecosystem services, many endemic species, and we have a huge problem with human pressure in those areas. So since most of them are developing countries, so there is pressure for changing the environment in this place, and both for agricultural or industrial aspects. And also the climate regulation. So we have the highest and most consistent solar radiation in these areas. It stores vast amounts of carbon, and it helps to regulate the global water cycle. And an important aspect, human life is only possible in the UK because of the tropical region. So I don't know if you are aware, most of you are. We have the Gulf Stream that brings warm water to us here in the UK. So if we have some kind of imbalance in this in this um, in this region, probably it will affect a lot also the weather in the UK, and of course it will impose some environmental issues and economic and other problems. So yeah, with this brief introduction, I will now focus on case studies in this context of artificial intelligence for tropical regions. So, as you know, I'm computer science, so I will always connect the challenges I mentioned with some important aspects I see in developing new methods in computer science. But I hope it can bring some new ideas also of other applications we may collaborate in the future. So my work right now is basically connected to these initiatives. All of them involve artificial intelligence and remote sensing. Of course, I'm involved in other projects, more classical computer vision, but yeah, I think for this presentation, it's better for us to focus on these four topics. So I will start with crop mapping. I've been involved with some Brazilian organizations. This is the Brazilian Institute of Geography and Statistics, IBGE. And in Brazil, they are responsible for creating the official map of land cover. So, and this is important for guiding a lot of governmental and also private decisions, especially regarding the funding for the farmers to grow their plantations, and it's carried out every 5 years. Traditionally, it has been conducted in with a very typical pipeline that involves a lot of field work and very little use of artificial intelligence tools. So in the last few years, they are using remote sensing, of course, but the way they work is basically they get the images, they open some kind of ArcGIS or QGIS, and they start drawing manually the polygons for every crop, and they combine this pipeline in a more lab pipeline with the field work that they make to. But note that all of this is manual or visual, and this is the way they work. So, and you can imagine Brazil is huge. It's very complex. There is a lot of different landscapes, and it's very challenging work for them. And it's pretty clear that remote sensing combined with artificial intelligence can improve a lot this work. So I've been involved with them in a partnership with Universidade Federal de Viçosa and United Nations. Um, so This project is huge. I've been involved in a small part of this, where it's more focused on using deep learning for segmentation and classification. So the first decision we made was actually to separate um, the two problems regarding where and what. And the reason for this is tropical regions agriculture is very complex, so it's a bit different from if you compare with temperate regions like here in the UK, in which usually you have a single season for cropping. So you can basically compare the same dates, and for a huge period, you see the same crop. In tropical regions, this is very different, and I can show you yeah. So, for example, in this image here, you have the cycle of the plantations in Brazil, and you can change. You can say that there's not very clear transition all the time. So you can see some pattern, but yeah, for example, the changes between bare soil, for example, and the plantation, they are progressively changing, not a big change, just like in the temperate region. So it poses a lot of challenges. So we decided to separate the crop classification and the farm parcel delineation, which is per se a challenging topic. So for farm parcel delineation, some challenges we noted is great diversity of patterns in scenarios because of the size of the country and different landscapes. Very limited availability of cloud-free images on certain dates. So we tried to do that focusing on specific dates, and limited spatial resolution for identifying narrow objects. So just to give you an idea, of course we started with more simple architectures. So this is the map we expected using deep learning. So this is a ground truth, and this is the result using UNet, which is a very good architecture. And you can see that we are able to identify or to differentiate agriculture from other fields, for example, native vegetation, but a single UNet is not able to delineate correctly the polygons. So we need to do something else. And what we did is to explore some multi-resolution or super resolution approach. In this case, Vahid, we had access to Planet, but this image was Sentinel. Okay, Sentinel-2. Because of we were trying to do that in large scale before, and we have facing some challenges to process high resolution images from Planet because of infrastructure issues in IBG. Yeah. So for helping solving this, we explore some multi-resolution, super resolution approach. So I've included here the original paper, and the method was the HRNet. So we adapted this for segmentation from Sentinel data, and the results were pretty good. So um, I think we obtained very reliable results, although there is still some challenges regarding applying the models to different regions. So geographic domain shift. So this is imposing still some problems, and so this is why we uh, posed to ourselves the following question. So can we trust our models? Because since we are creating official maps, we need to have reliable results. And how can we improve the results toward the reliability needed for this application? So in terms of the literature in computer science, increasing reliability means understanding uncertainty from our models. So, and use this to estimate some confidence of the model. So we worked on this direction. Just to give you an idea, main types of uncertainty, in general, they will be related to the noise from the data, which is aleatoric uncertainty, and epistemic uncertainty, which is more connected to the bias or limited training data. So common approach to measure the uncertainty of the models can be Bayesian deep learning, including some kind of variational inference. Monte Carlo dropout is also a possibility. There is you can work with deep ensembles, and with this kind of robust for real world applications. And there's some papers also with evidential learning. So in this work, we decided to explore this method, which is proposed in 2019. Basically, it's pretty simple, but it seems very effective for this project. It is basically they create a confidence head here, and they attach this confidence head here. And the way it works is okay. So you have the traditional classification model here, and you use cross entropy loss to learn the classes, no problem. And but you have another confidence, sorry, another loss, which is the loss uh, obtained from the true probability class, not from the maximum probability class, which is captured by cross entropy. What does it mean in practice? It means we are trying to measure how uh, um, the distribution of the method, the whole distribution of the training data. So this is um, basically a logistic regression, and with this, we are able to, during the prediction phase, to measure if a specific sample is inside the original distribution or outside. So it works more or less like this, and give us an idea about how familiar is a sample for our model. What does it mean? It means that in practice, if you have a region, for example, we are talking about farms. If you have a specific crop pattern that is similar to some pattern seen before, our original network has learned this pattern, which is good, and it's able to assign a correct label, and the confidence will be higher. And if you have some pattern that's quite new, even if our classifier return a high score for a specific class, maybe if it's outside of our distribution, the confidence will be lower. So it may indicate that our model is not prepared to be applied for that samples. So, and this is very useful when you move the learned model to some other areas. So to evaluate that, so this is some results using this for segmentation. So this is a tile from Sentinel. This is the ground truth, and this image here, it's the score. So it's quite obvious here that for crop regions, we are reaching a good confidence. Of course, for the borders, the confidence will be lower. But the interesting point here is we are able to identify some pattern that was not present probably in the training data. So it means that the users of the system maybe need to feed with some more samples of this in the training data, or maybe there is a wrong annotation from the annotators. This is another example, and it's quite interesting because this is a region with some aquatic vegetation. It's a lake here, and what we can understand from these results here, since we are noticing low confidence in this region, is the model is not very prepared for differentiating aquatic vegetation from agriculture sets. So this is another point. We did this analysis. Did you apply super resolution here? Yeah, exactly, Vahid. So this is applied in the HRNet based model we trained for improving the separation of the parcels. Yeah. So the final architecture was HRNet architecture with confidence ahead to measure the confidence of the model. Yeah. Okay. So to evaluate this, we designed this pipeline comparing full Sentinel data from different regions in Brazil. So the idea here is to apply a kind of live on out setup, and in which we train, for example, with these four municipalities here, and we test in this other one in Northeast Brazil. But we did also to evaluate the method uh, in a different set in which, for example, we train with this four and Leti, for example, Brejo Alegre here, for example, outside, and we did that for the 5 regions to see if the confidence of the model will be higher if we have closer regions, and the conclusion was that yes, and we learned a lot from this process. Yeah. Also, in this project, we using this idea, we proposed what we call a confid 2, which is given a result obtained from, for example, from some annotator. We are able to analyze if there is some possible wrong annotation. So it helps us to increase the quality of the final data. In this example here, you can see that this tool indicated in red some regions. And what does it mean? It means that there is a disagreement between the data provided by the annotator and the model confidence. So this region in red is regions in which the model is high, very high confident, and but it disagree with the annotator. So it may indicate some regions for review in the final maps provided by IBGE. Other examples here. I will move a little bit faster this part because I want to talk about more topics. Okay. So we worked also in the classification, crop classification, but in this case, for identifying the crops, since we are talking about the plant development, temporal information is really important. So uh, this is why we separated both of them. So for crop classification, we use temporal data. We use temporal series, time series, and in this for segmenting the crops, we decided to select the specific data in which we have less cloud, for example, or less noise data. So after delineating this, we proceeding with the crop classification, and it is also very challenging because of the reasons I mentioned. It's a very diverse, and so in this for this part we have published 2 methods. The first of them is 2 papers, sorry, a survey about agriculture in the tropic regions, and we noticed that there are very few works monitoring agriculture in the tropics. So there is a lot of room for improvement. And on top of that, we proposed a pipeline for collecting time series. And we have published this paper last year together with a tool that everybody can use. So basically what we do here is we use publicly available information about agriculture, and we combine this with um, European space agencies to collect Sentinel data and create a data set so you can analyze and train your models. So yeah. Okay, so let's move to another application. So I will be quick on this one because it's a developing work. So I've been um, collaborating with people from the University of Ghana and some researchers of University of Campinas in Brazil also under Innovate UK project. So basically, an interesting aspect by Ghana is agriculture is very important, but um, there is a lot of difficulties to monitor the progress of the crops, and most of a family farms, so with a very limited mechanization. So the context of this project is to perform some kind of partnership with Ghana to provide some tools. In this project, we have other colleague of mine here in Sheffield that works more on the helping using mobile phones to analyze some pests or other uh, issues, especially on maize farming. And my work on this was trying to complement the information provided by the mobile phones with some satellite data. This is very important, especially to increase the large scale analysis. So you have in local scale, every farm, people collecting data with their smartphones. And the idea is to combine this with large scale information provided by the satellites. So an important aspect about analyzing pests in Ghana is the farms have been very affected since 2016 for because of this fall armyworm. So it has been devastating for maize production in Ghana. Now it's considered endemic, so it's expected to have this pest in every season, and so basically it impacts a lot the production of maize there, and it attacks the plants in several phases of the plant, so it's very complicated. And yeah, so the idea is trying to monitor and to use remote sensing data to prevent the spread of this pest. So this is a very challenging problem because the alert should be issued very quickly. So otherwise, if you take a long time series to detect the pest infection, the impact will be so higher that you cannot do anything to save the plants. So we've tested some ideas analyzing the NDVI crops, NDVI time series, and the lack of data was a great barrier for this project. But we have obtained very interesting aspects. So analyzing the spatial information inside a crop, um, started using NDVI, but the idea is to explore some more complex information or other indices, for example. But even using NDVI, which is pretty simple, we noted that we can analyzing the spatial spread of the pests. We may be able to detect some important aspects that helps to identify um, the initial stage of the plants or of the pest impacting the plant development. So this is some results we obtained. The main the main challenge in this case for this application is the lack of data to validate the results, because although in Ghana they are facing a lot of problems with this, most of the the most of the regions that have been affected by this pest, they don't document very well the where and how the pest were infected. So a preliminary stage to help to solve this problem would be collecting better data. So this is why we are struggling to advance on this for towards a more robust solution. Yeah, but yeah, I will move because we are running out of time. I still have 10 minutes. So I'd like to move to the environmental monitoring part of the presentation. And especially I will focus on this logging and tree species recognition. So sorry to bring some a lot of information, but I think that's a very interesting topic. Currently I'm involved in um, a couple of projects for monitoring logging and tree species. So since I'm from computer science, I was not very aware that it would be possible to extract wood in Amazon rainforest, for example, legally. But it is. So to do that, you need to have a concession. So there is some governmental agencies that work on that direction. So they concede a region for a company, for example, and they are allowed to extract wood. And but to do that, they cannot simply devastate the whole concession area, removing all the trees. They need to perform what we say selective logging. So they need to select a specific plants, trees, and to avoid to mitigate the impact, the environmental impact of this activity in the concession area. So the main problem of this is the concession areas, they are huge, and the responsibility to monitor this is with some public agents, and sometimes they don't have enough resources to monitor all of this. So that's quite tricky because the company reports what they have removed, and the agents must they are expected to review and to regulate this activity. Yeah. So this project is we are collaborating with Peruvian agents. So they are using drones to collect data from several concession areas. So you can see that this is the Peruvian map, and all the regions they are monitoring right now. So and they are collecting a lot of drone data from these regions. So this is an example. And an important aspect of this project is we need to identify where the trees has been removed, but also there is a lot of um, challenge to monitor which species they removed, because some species are forbidden to be removed because they are endangered species. So and um, so that's quite tricky to do that because identifying species sometimes rely on expert users, and they need most of the time to go to field work to check. So can you imagine how huge is this effort to monitor all of this? So to ensure that the companies are doing what they are expected to do in terms of regulation. So um, the main connected to this, all of this, this specific issues, from the point of view of computer science, one of the questions we pose ourselves is it possible to discriminate three species looking from above? So the answer for this is yes, it's possible to discriminate three species looking from above. But of course, you need to have some access to high quality data. So one of the things you can do is exploring the temporal information. So phenological patterns is very important for identifying correctly the plant species. In this direction, we have published, and Thiago is part of this work, so it's a collaboration with them, with him, and in the previous project. And we have shown in this paper that using this convolutional neural network is possible to learn temporal patterns from the trees, and it's very effective to discriminating different plant species. So phenological pattern can be captured if you have multi-temporal data. But multi-temporal data is very limited in drones because, especially in big areas. So imagine how many flights should we do to to collect relevant temporal information for the whole conceded areas. So it's not feasible all of the time. Because of that, you can explore geometry using multi-view or 3D information to extract some geometry information from the trees. Connect to this structure morphology information. So you need high resolution cameras. And also you can explore spectral information. So although technically it's possible to discriminate, we have a lot of challenges about how to extract all of this information, how to combine them, and probably you will face a lot of missing data because of the difficulties of collecting data. Another aspect of this project that is related to my research question is regarding new species. So some species, they are very badly recognized so far. Some estimations mention that no and unknown discovered species around 4,000 approximate undiscovered species in Amazon rainforest. So it's quite common to have a situation in which you're analyzing a tree that has not documented, or at least your model is not aware of this. So it connects very well with my work in open set recognition, which is a bit different from traditional classification methods in which we work on closed set. So suppose you have, for example, digits. So you learn 4 and 2. So this is what we call a closed set. Probably your model will be very good on detecting 4 and 2 digits. But if you feed your model with something for prediction that is not a 4 or 2, it will struggle. And for being open set aware, I would say, this model should be prepared to identify the known classes, but also identify classes that was not presented in the previous set of classes. So that can be very useful for this application of identifying new species. So I've been working in several papers recently towards open set segmentation challenges for Earth observation. So I will not extend too much on this. But what I would like to say is the identification of three species. It's much more than identifying new classes. So because the distribution of the species in the nature, they are not very well balanced. They follow this kind of long tail distribution, and in somehow it connects very well with some specific challenges we have right now in artificial intelligence, which is unbalancing data. So you have a different number of samples to train your model. You have few shot, which is very few or higher species. So how can we train our model with less data, with very few samples? And you have also the open set. All of these problems, they are connected in real world, and this is why I'm very interested in this topic, because it's very there is this is an open problem in artificial intelligence, and it can help to identify new species in a real world application like environmental monitoring. Yeah. So I have something to say more, but I will skip and go to final remarks. And if you have interested in this application, detection of rural roads, yeah, don't hesitate to contact me. We can discuss about that later. It's another interesting project. And yeah, so I will conclude with summary. So there are plenty of cool work to do with artificial intelligence for Earth observation for the tropics. I tried to show you some work I'm doing in this direction. The applications motivate me very well because they are very relevant in terms of impact for environment, society, economy in not only for the UK or for specific countries, but in global level. Deploying tasks usually require much more than off-the-shelf solutions. So for those problems I show, if you take only a UNet or a YOLO, you will struggle. So you have very limited results. So we need something else. And for both the computer science algorithm development, but also in terms of understanding the real problems. So we need to interact with experts. And just to conclude the summary of challenges, so I would say need for reliability and truthfulness. So this is very important. And towards this, it's very important for us to keep in monitoring the uncertainty of the model and dealing with missing data. Need for decentralized learning strategies, especially for monitoring a large scale. I'm interested in federated learning, how to combine this with Earth observation applications. I'm very interested in improving the data quality. So how can we make more with less? And I'm interested in developing new tools for improving the quality of the data. And other two challenges that remain, and they are very application based. The first one would be geographic domain shift. So in large scale applications, use training a model in one region and testing or applying in another region probably will require some kind of adaptation. So this is, and we still have room for improving computer science methodologies towards this. And the last one is, of course, multimodal learning. So, yep. So that's all. Thank you very much. Sorry for standing, Vahid, our time. So, if we still have time for questions, I would be happy to discuss.
Thanks a lot, Jefferson, for a very excellent presentation. A lot of cases that you showcase here. It has been also in my other projects were seen. But let's start with the questions and comments from the audience first. But I have a lot of questions. I cannot cover all in this time, but maybe you need to meet in another time. So questions from the audience. Okay, so I start myself to maybe warm up. Okay, Tiago, please go ahead.
Great. So I guess my question, I mean, great presentation. I think it really shows, like how many problems we can solve using this kind of new technologies. But then my question is exactly what do you think is the biggest difficulty in going from sort of like proof of concept, so the kind of paper you would publish on like a computer science journal, to then becoming a solution, or maybe something that you can publish, say, on an ecology journal or a conservation journal or an environmental science journal, and saying like, hey, we actually solved this real world problem. This is not benchmark data. This is not a known data set. This is real application. What do you feel is the biggest barrier for that to become more common?
Yeah, I believe the lack of standards is it's a problem. I've been trying to work on this direction. We had this discussion before, I believe. I think funding is very complex to obtain a good funding for interdisciplinary work. And so if you go, for example, for APS-RC, they probably will not fund money for you to investigate environmental aspects of the problem, and they will probably more focus it on the methodology aspect. And so you need to define a very clear experimental setup, which means that you need to create a benchmark, a controlled environment. But with a controlled environment, you can only assess very specific questions about the work. So I would say the main challenge is obtaining funding to go beyond the lab and to do that. Yeah. So I think another problem is how does it impact our career. So, for example, sometimes a paper published in a specific venue of environmental science, for example, ref, into our university, we have a lot of pressure, at least here in Sheffield, to publish in computer vision, CVPR, blah, blah, blah. But if I publish it, for example, in remote sense of environment, which is a very nice remote sensing journal, it may not it will have a huge impact in my development career. So I think the way the academy is designed, it's also a challenge. So I would say funding and academic structure is some barriers I see for increasing the impact of AI for remote sense applications in environmental science. Yeah. I'm not sure if your question was more in terms of technical aspect.
I guess it could be either, but this is a really good point. I think that as much as we are told that interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary science is important, like none of the structures really promote
Exactly.
or recognize it. Yeah.
Yeah, for example, I can give you another example outside the environmental. So I'm working with some people from volcanology here. So we are developing computer vision methods for monitoring volcanoes with cameras, which is very nice. But the problem is for them, the papers they are looking for doesn't matter to me in here in Sheffield. So it counts nothing for me. So how can we collaborate so our efforts will be rewarded? So it's very complex. So I'm very happy to collaborate with them, but I don't see impact with this collaboration in my career. So yeah.
Very good. So I have a question, Jefferson. In the beginning of your talk, you show two ways of dealing with the satellite data.
Yep.
Traditionally, features are extracted and they are fed up into machine learning models. And then recently, last 10 years, deep learning is there. Because I have worked with SAR data in this group, a couple of PhD students with Armando has worked with, for example, extracting polarimetric decomposition parameters. This is type of modality that is very narrow, but still we want to physically understand how we can
Yeah, I know
trust
that.
the deep learning methods. So deep learning is amazing because it's automatically detect the extracted features, but when it comes to satellites, sometimes it's physically not explainable. We want to understand what happens, but do you think that some physics aware AI models can handle this type of
Yeah,
challenges?
I'm not sure, but an interesting topic towards this, Vahid, I have seen. I don't know if you are aware, but is this physically aware networks? So I'm very interested on that, and I believe for those that are experts on radar like you, I believe that's a very hot topic. So because you can mix your knowledge and design new architectures that take advantage of the physical properties during the training phase. So the interpretability will be kind of straightforward in the end of this process. Yeah.
I mean, the reason I'm asking this because when I did my PhD in physics, so this was part of my research direction that I needed to understand the physics of the data to extract the statistics of the data that are connected to the physics. But then when I came to computer science department, I have hardly find out how I can connect these two because sometimes the computer vision
People don't
researchers
care.
they are
Yeah.
really good in coding. They develop a lot of nice AI methods, but it's hard to connect these two different worlds. So my role here is to try to bridge these two areas that really understand and customize those models. Because I mean, I had students working with these AI techniques. I gave multispectral data to train the data, but he just used 3 channels. But I said no, because we have to use multispectral data. These are useful information, and even he reduced the spectral resolution from 16-bit to I don't know 8-bit. So these are the challenges that we have to find out good solutions, how we don't lose resolution, spatial resolution, temporal resolution, spectral,
Hmm.
all those matters that you discussed. But these are nicely touched by you as well in this
Yeah,
time.
I think we have a huge opportunity here. So I really think we can explore more opportunities to develop this physically informed. Also, in terms of ecology, I've been discussing very briefly with Thiago and other colleagues to develop ecological informed networks. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
for ecology, it's not that straightforward because um, they don't have ecological models very well established since I understood. It's not it's
yeah,
different from physics. Physics is basically a lot of models, isn't it? And
yeah,
so you can basically take the theories to help to train the models. But
yeah,
I see good opportunities towards this. So instead of trying to explain the model trained, you train a model that can self-explain the result. So
yeah,
using physical properties or other external theories. Yeah.
yeah. I was also interested in your final case study about open set recognition, because in the past I have had some student working with the same subject for SAR data. But the question for you here is that because we have worked on tropical areas that you wanted to use drone data on species, but if you want to transfer your model into temperate areas, it might not work, and this is maybe something that we are challenging, right?
Sure.
So,
Yeah. That's not feasible. Yeah, we need to work more on that. Yeah, I think that's yeah. I cannot begin to think about the amount of challenges to do that. Yeah, but
yeah.
it's for sure something to explore more. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. I think there are a lot of challenges, not single. Everyone thinks differently. I mean, ecologically or physically or computationally. So we have to come all this to some common place to understand each other's needs before developing the tools. So if we develop things but it doesn't satisfy certain sector, then it's a kind of failure.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure. Another thing I just remember, based on what you are saying, but it complements my answer to Thiago about why we have this difficulty to solve real problems is industry, I would say, because industry is putting a lot of effort in the problems they want to solve, so that will make easy money, I would say. And for this environmental problems, they are much more complex, and return is not very clear for industry. So I think if we have more support from big companies, for example, towards environmental problems, and more funding from them, for example, or available resources, we could boost the development of technologies in this direction also. I'm saying this because computer vision for other applications, for example, autonomous driving, if you see a lot of papers published on this topic. So I cannot realize why autonomous driving is more important than monitoring rainforest, for example. So, but the answer is the industry is guiding that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Very useful, presentation and comments are amazing for me. Do you have any other questions from the audience? Okay, so if not, Jefferson, I appreciate your time and your wonderful presentation to my group, and we might see you next time in Sheffield or Sterling if you come over here. So yeah, for future collaboration possibilities.
Thank you very much, Vahid, for the opportunity. The second opportunity, because now everything I think you could follow. It was a nice opportunity. I look forward for representation next week here
Yes.
for our seminar. I will send you, Thiago, the link. And yeah, I hope we can. These presentations can be opportunity for us to interact. I'm very interested in SAR data. So I've been, especially for this volcano monitoring, because of landslide detection, and I've seen some papers that SAR data can be very useful to detect deformation in mountains. So we can discuss that later. Yeah.
I mean, to me, it was very good opportunity to understand your work as well, and I think no, my mind is clear about your work, more clear than before. So we can discuss later.
Perfect. Yeah.
And
Thank
of
you very
course,
much,
if
Vahid.
other people, I mean, I'm not using this as a opportunity for myself, or also for other audience. If they find the person work interesting, please keep in touch with him directly.
Yeah, please do it. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you very much, and have a nice
Thank you.
weekend. All. See you next time.
You too. Bye bye.
Thank you. Nice seeing everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye, Thiago.
Bye bye.